Oh, that might be Ebony right there. Hey y'all, we are live. Hey, as you can see, El Teddy is already in the room, and Ebony just texted me, so she should be coming in any moment now. How y'all doing today? How was everybody's Friday? El Teddy, how was your Friday?
Um, I'm ready to get this down. I can tell you that.
Oh,
I was
okay.
eating on some popcorn.
Hey,
And
Captivating Christian. Hey, Dami. Hey, Diva Law. Hey, Ariel. How y'all doing? You said you're ready. It was that kind of day. You ready to get that down? Well, you
that
know.
kind of weak. Okay, that kind of weak.
Well, I can understand that too. You know, I was talking to El Teddy this morning, and I was sick. I don't know if y'all can hear it in my voice, whatever, but I'm real congested, and I don't know if it's allergies, if I caught a cold. I don't know what it is. And but I was irritable. I was very irritable this week. El Teddy,
yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm trying to load my laptop now so I can look at the comments. So put good comments up because I can't see the chat right now.
Y'all always try to put the comments out.
Yes. Hey everybody, Shondo to everybody. I did not say hi. I apologize. I is here. I ain't even been on the YouTube streets all day today. I don't know what these people had to say about me on the jet. I know I'm being called a panel whore because I done been on so many panels. At least
I heard very good comments about you today. I heard very good comments about you today. The people have reviewed
I'm sure BS found a way to go in on me at some point.
She didn't. No, she didn't. She didn't. That's what I'm saying. I heard some very good comments about you today.
Well, that's good, BS.
I'm about to bring Abby in. Hey, Rochelle, how you doing? Yeah, and then
hey everybody in the chat. I don't know who's in the chat, but hey everybody.
Yeah, I'm about to hey Abby, I'm about to tag you in now, boo. So I was just telling El Teddy, it's been I've been very irritable this week. He actually heard me snap at one of my co-workers earlier this week. I've just been very irritable this week. But I realized that today is the anniversary of my brother's death. I always get this way around this day, the beginning of October. I always get sick around the day that he died, and I'm always very much in a bad mood. I'm very irritable. So anyway,
but that hat is late though. That hat is late. You might be irritable. That hat is late to the side.
Yeah, well, I had to keep my appointment. I had to keep my appointment.
I got that little bump right there. Had to get a little bump. Come on now.
I've been looking forward to this since Wednesday, and I know y'all are gonna keep me laughing and keep me entertained and keep my mind off of where I was this day 7 years ago. So I know that that's what y'all gonna do. So we see Abby.
Y'all pray for my lash because she wonky. What happened?
I saw you fighting with that lash during your review. Okay.
No, I don't have any cash.
Yeah, Abby got the
children at the door asking for money,
and the Supergirl on the other side.
I had to beat Super a couple of times in my life, so you know, sometimes it takes super strength to get through some things.
Child, I understand that too. Hey, Vovo to Love. So I'm gonna do a roll call for y'all so y'all know who's in here, and then we go ahead and get started. Ariel is in the room, Diva Law, Dami Thomas, Captivating Christian.
Hey, Vovo. Captivating Christian. Hey,
I knew that. Vovo to Love, Jonathan Ford. Rochelle.
Teddy, you got your whiteboard?
Sylvia, why do you keep reminding him?
She don't have to remind me. I was prepared.
Amen. Yes, come on. If you stay ready.
Ask Namil, are you new to the channel? You just coming out the bushes tonight? Yanni is in the room, and XOXO, all that chocolate. Hey y'all, if y'all are new, if y'all in the bushes, if y'all coming through, welcome.
I have to put the name of the show up there for Really BTV because she forgets names. So I'm just gonna sit this right here.
Oh no!
So she knows.
You just started
the name of the main character and the name of the show. Dear God,
First of all, Let me just say, both of you called him Willie Earl. That is not that baby's name.
I did not call him Willie Earl. I called him Willie Derek. You called him Willie Derek
the first time, and then you called him
Willie Earl.
Willie Earl too, El Teddy.
You called him Willie Earl.
I called him Willie Earl
too.
Fact
checkers to go check our reviews because I called that. I think I said Willie David, but I ain't say no Willie Earl.
You said Willie Derek the first time. You said it right the first time, but then you got to talking, and I think you forgot and you called him Willie Earl.
Fact checkers, go check the reviews, please.
You did.
Fact checkers, because we got fact checkers in the room.
Because the reason why I said that is because when I looked at your review, I was like, oh, I got that one right.
That baby's name is not there.
That's that boy.
No, ma'am. You started calling Willie Earl when you called Tara Pearl.
Dummy, go ahead and ask that question. Hold on, y'all. I don't know if I have a fever or whatever. Hold on, let me turn this air up. I already got it set on 74, so it must be me.
The baby's name is Willie Derek. Willie Derek, okay?
Where from?
Willie Derek, that's his name. Did he seem like he was taller in that death scene to y'all, or was that just me? Because I feel like he was way bigger than JG. I feel like he
was fatter than JG, but he wasn't that much taller than JG.
Right, maybe it's because he was laying down. He looked long.
Hey y'all, Rochelle Perkins said that Saren favors Dondre Whitfield. He does favor him.
He does.
He does favor him.
He does. He does. Now I see that.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Dami said that there's a trans person on the show. Have we noticed too? So is it a trans man or a trans woman?
Is the trans.
Star is a trans boy.
Yeah, Star is a trans boy.
So Star
in real life or just on the show?
I don't know about real life. I just know about the show. I don't make
so Star was born a woman?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, get out of here.
That's why Starry left where he was.
Okay. Ebony Asnak Namil says that baby did look like he was long laying up in there. She
did.
What are we talking about? Laid up in there and being long. What are we talking about?
Willie Earl.
Not that.
Oh, okay. Because I was kind of confused because I know Shinobi was up in there and he's a little fine piece of something. You know, we don't really see it for him, but you can't deny Shinobi is a little cute little something. I say what you want to say.
I can say what I want to say because face tattoos don't do it for me. I'm sorry, I can't do the face.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. If you take that from Mike and talk about a couple things. Come here, young man. Let me
hit it from the back and I'll have to really see his face.
No.
Very true.
No. Okay, y'all, let's get this party started. Y'all stupid. I ain't doing this. I ain't fooling with y'all. Y'all silly. But yeah, so shouts out to Asnak, to Dami in the room for bringing up the trans. I didn't know. El Teddy is on it. She said, El Teddy, you go, boy. And Asnak, Namil, you already.
I don't want to take credit. It was only because of Ebby's review that I think when Starry first came on, that's how I first realized, and then people started putting it in my comment section that Starry was trans because I didn't know at first either. And that was episode 2. And when I saw Ebby's review,
boy, I did not know.
When I saw Ebby's review in episode 2, that's how I knew Starry was trans. And then people started to put it in my comment section on that very same my review for episode 2, and that's when we first met Starry.
Okay.
And that's the only reason why I knew that is because the lady mentioned him being on testosterone and him throwing the water bottle too hard.
Oh. See, okay.
That was episode 2.
If I heard that, then I probably would have made the assumption, which actually brings me to a good point that we're not going to talk about right now, that maybe if y'all want to do an after show, we could talk about it during the after show. One of the things that, sidebar, let me finish one thought before I go to the next one. If I had heard the testosterone comment, I probably would have assumed that he was a boy, born a boy, transitioning to being a woman, not the other way around. And the sidebar comment is that is something that VS actually brought up in her review of the gentleman's panel last night about how society as a whole, whenever people start talking about transgender, they generally always lean towards the men who are transitioning to women. And you very seldom hear a lot of conversation about the vice versa. And I thought that was a very good point that she made, because she's right. Because most of the time when I think of trans, I automatically think of men transitioning.
But the part of that is too, and I don't want us to get on topic, but part of that is too, especially within the Black community, trans men are much more accepted in the Black community than trans women. You will see the trans men hanging with the boys out in the hood, out in the street. People accept it. It's not a problem. But let somebody be transitioning from a man to a woman. Now all of a sudden it's a problem.
Yeah, but like I said, that's a comment for
that's a whole different conversation. We ain't going to go down that road.
Really good. Yeah. I thought it was a really good observation that VS had earlier. All right, moving on. So you guys, let me tell y'all something. And I've watched both of you all's reviews. And let me tell y'all, this episode took me all the way out. Okay? They
just not gonna keep taking me out every week, because they took me out last week. And I was like, okay, hopefully this episode they don't take me out again like that. And baby, they had me snot bubbles again this week. I
was fearful. Last week I was fearful. It didn't give me the tears last week. Last week I was just afraid of what Sarah was gonna do. I was very fearful. About halfway through that episode, I got scared. And I was scared for the remainder of that episode. But this episode, baby.
Everything.
So
everything.
Okay. It took me all the way out. And not only did it take me all the way out, but I was like, and I know El Teddy said it, and Abby, I believe you said it as well. If this little boy, and I know he's 16, maybe I hope he don't get offended by me calling him no little boy, but if this little boy don't get nominated for all of them, I don't care what
all the awards. Give him his thing.
That young man played his part. Didn't he? Listen.
Look, he is acting his ass off. Do you hear me?
The emoting that young man. Listen, in order to channel the amount of anger and rage that had to be channeled for that scene with Ray, you know what I'm saying? You can't put it. That ain't no put on. You know what I'm saying? You got to really conjure up some true anger and rage to the point, and I talked about it on my review, where you go from being angry to being mad, where you're like a rabid dog almost, to the point where you're mad and you're almost losing your mind and consciousness. To be able to channel that and make it be real and authentic, where it's believable. Because I think everybody who watched that scene, you like escaped from your living room, bedroom, den, wherever you was, and you were transformed, like you were literally in the room with him, feeling the emotion of the room. Like it probably became thick in your own house where you were when you were watching that, because that is what he channeled, and that was how great that particular scene was. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
But not just
absolutely. And
go ahead.
Where he really gets me is when you see him change his personality, like on a dime. Like when he was with the representative and he started to give his story and he saw that it wasn't moving him. And he's like, okay, they don't work. Okay, watch me change it and flip it and do something else to get what I need. When he was getting ready to go into the school and he hot and sweaty and panicking, and he put that hat on and settled himself and put that smile on. You literally saw him put the mask on.
Yeah.
Like the choices that this young man makes as an actor are way beyond his years.
Because that's what I was going to say.
And when we're talking about actors, I just want to take 2 seconds to say shout out to Diane Carroll, who passed today.
We were definitely going to do that.
Diane Carroll, who's an icon. Just wanted to say that.
We were definitely gonna do that because Diane Curl is my boo, my baby, my everything. Okay, I love her. Always have, always will. But that's what I was gonna say too, Abby, was how because even the different arguments he had in this episode were all very distinct. The argument he had with Felicia Rashad versus the argument he had with Ray versus the confrontation he had with the uncle. I won't really call that an argument.
With Dr. Bree. There were 4 separate, and they all escalated. If you notice,
very distinct.
Each one of them, each time it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until you got to that last one. So all of those confrontations, they, started stacking on top of each other. Oh, it was great.
It was.
It's like a case study in how we as Black people have to compartmentalize in order to survive being a Black person in this country, depending on what situation it is and who you're talking to, because we all have to be a chameleon to survive in this world, because you can't say everything, and those of us who don't know how to do this are the ones that normally get in trouble, big trouble, because everything can't be said to everybody. You got to know your audience. You got to read the room.
Exactly.
And everybody can't do that.
I want to say welcome to Janice, Everyday People, 629, and Lady V. Everyday People, boo, we really we just got started. So you can go back and look at the beginning later if you want to just stick with where we are now, because we just started chopping up the episode now. We're talking about the phenomenal acting of the main character. If y'all can't see Everyday People's comment, she says, so excited y'all reviewing this show. I love this show. And then she was saying she was going to rewind it, or I shouldn't assume it's a she. But yeah, so yeah, you guys, that was just the first thing. When I got done with that episode, that was the first thing that hit me. I said, this little boy, his acting is so phenomenal. And like you said, El Teddy, I don't know what he is or where he's channeling it from, but baby, and we'll get there. Let's start at the beginning. So going back to the point that Ebony just made about him walking into school and putting on that mask, he turns that hat around, he puts that smile on his face, and he struts up in that school, honey. And the first thing that struck me with this episode was the assembly with the councilman or the congressman or whoever the hell he was. He wasn't a councilman. I feel like he was a state representative.
He was a congressman. He was supposed to be a state congress. Well, I'm not going to say state congressman, but she certainly said, Dr. Woodstrap certainly said he was Congressman Payne.
Oh, shoot, my bad, y'all. Hold on.
I was calling him Representative What's His Face.
She said, because I wrote it down. She said Congressman Payne. And I went back and I wrote it down.
I never caught his name. I wasn't. What happened?
Oh. Well,
all right.
Well, all righty then.
Okay, then. What happened?
What had happened? What? In my QB voice? What had happened?
Where's Ebony? I can't get Ebony back.
Oh,
do I need to leave and come back in?
No, you shouldn't have to leave and come back in. I don't know what I did, Abby.
Oh, I'm blacked out.
Thank God VS don't review us, because baby, VS would be reading us down.
Oh, Abby, I'm so sorry. Go. I was trying to black my screen so I could sneeze, and I'd have messed the whole thing up. Abby, go back in and go out and come back in, baby. I don't know why.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now you're our Deshaun. Really be. Now you're our Deshaun.
Shut up. Shut up.
But
I'm sorry.
I'm so glad, and I wanted to say this. You talked about it on your review, and when you did it, I felt negligent as a reviewer that I did not talk about this, and it happened in the first scene. The very first thing we see when the show starts is the weather forecast on the television at the pharmacy about the hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
And I had it in my notes, but I got so caught up in everything else that was going on, because there was so much going on in this episode that I never talked about it, and you did it. So kudos to you. Wait. Yeah.
Am I
Wait.
frozen?
Wait.
What
No.
happened?
Kudos to you.
Evan, are you frozen now?
I feel like now I'm frozen. This is stupid. Keep talking. I'll be back. Wait a minute.
It's my fault. I shouldn't have sneezed.
Can I address Captivating Christian's question? Captivating Christian.
Yeah, why is he so sweaty? Because that boy.
First of all, there's a reason for it. And kudos to the cinematographers and Terrell Alvin McCraney. There's nothing sexier than a dark skinned man with a layer of sweat on him.
Yes, it is.
No, there's nothing
without sweat
in it because he glistens. Because when a dark skinned man like that is sweating, he glistens. You see every muscle fiber. Now I know that David's young, but you want to see a young man. You want to see a man, a real grown man. Give David about 10 more mango seasons, and he's gonna be sick, baby. You're gonna see him somewhere sweating, the muscles rippling, some of that bow-leggedness about him with that blue-black skin and that thin leg coat of sweat on him, and it's gonna send pheromones through the air.
All that sweat. Nothing sexy about all that sweat. Now I love me a dark-skinned man, but the sweat, no.
Why do you think whenever you see a dark-skinned man on television, they always look like they shining? Because they always try to put either some kind of lotion on them or some kind of lubrication or something to make that skin shine and pop because it's sexy. Hey, Jaded. Hey, Boo.
So somebody in the chat, Asnak said, under a lot of pressure at home, school, in the neighborhood. You think that has something to do with, what
some people just naturally sweat a lot. He could be like Whitney Houston, because Whitney Houston, the moment you turn on the light,
that wasn't natural sweat. That wasn't natural sweat. That was crack.
Oh God!
Not natural sweat. The hell y'all talking about some damn natural sweat?
That wasn't sweat. I know a lot of people who naturally sweat like that. You ain't never met somebody who always carrying a rag around because they sweat a lot. That's just some people. That's just how they are.
Sweat just pour off of his body. Yes, I know that is real. That's a real thing.
Whatever. As next said, it's Vaseline. Anyway, so let's go back to that. Then let's go back to the symbolism of the storm. I immediately saw the symbolism there. I immediately felt like, I shouldn't say I saw it. I immediately felt like there was some symbolism to be compared to the storm coming, and we know we're getting to a climax because we know we're getting to the end of the season. So we know that there's a climax coming, but I just felt like there was definitely some symbolism with that whole situation with a storm coming.
Did we get the name of the storm?
Huh?
Did we get the name of the storm? Because I missed it.
No, I didn't get the name of the storm.
They did give it. I didn't write it down, but they did give the name of the storm. They did. I don't remember what it was, but they gave it.
I told the storm.
I'm sure somebody will fact check. Come on now, that was my song. Even though the winds blow, I want you to know.
Okay, y'all, we can't have another church break.
Come on now! Don't make me go there.
Yes,
Lord.
yes. So yeah. So definitely we see that, and we saw that Shinobi even knows how to code switch, because it was yes ma'am, no ma'am. Even he knows how to code switch. He know what to do.
Right.
But we know as Black people, you have to. You do not grow up as a Black person and not learn how to code switch. That is a part of your DNA. That is a part of who you are. It's something even I can speak to this as an English teacher. I don't call it code switching, but I definitely teach my students the definition of the word colloquialism, so they know that when they're home, you use your colloquialism, or when you're in the hallway, or when you are in my class, you are speaking and you're writing. You are writing professionally, and you need to know how to be able to navigate between the two.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we talked about the storm and Shinobi. So now let's get back to this assembly. Now, let me tell y'all something. I was cringing during this scene. Matter of fact, I even fast forward through some of it because it was making me so uncomfortable watching David in this moment with and I understood what he was doing. I understood why he was doing it. But I'll be honest with you, I was Dr. Wolf Trap. Is that her name? Wolf Trap.
Wood. Let me write it down for you. Don't worry. Don't worry. You have it not, but I have it for you. Let me hurry. Let me help you along with this woman's name.
Look, when it comes to remembering names, I need some mnemonic devices. Okay. Yeah, I told y'all before why I keep saying Wolf Trap, because there's an amphitheater here called Wolf Trap, and that's where we go to concerts and stuff. So it's just in my head.
The woman's name is Dr. Woods Trap. Why don't you just stick to Dr. WT?
Dr. Felicia Rashad. I just call her Felicia Rashad. Anyway,
okay, that's the woman's name.
If nothing, that's call her Dr. Huxtable. Hell, I don't know, something.
So Dr. Woods Trap, I was her. Because my emotions, because her face said to me, in my opinion, and I said this in my review, her face said to me that she understood, but he was doing too much. Then it seemed like she went to shame. And I'm gonna tell
you why she went there. Because, like she said later on in the episode, she don't see it for him. Dr. Woodstrap said, I don't see it for him. I don't like him like that. And now I like you, David. But you reminded me of him, and I don't want you to be like him. So I'm looking at you sideways because I don't like him. And if you want to be like that, I don't like you either.
My question is, how do you expect him as a child to know anything about this grown-ass man and how he moves as a congressman or a representative in these streets? David don't know that. David knows
I wasn't here for Dr. Woodstrap either. I wasn't here for her.
Is some kind of role model. He was in the same position. He got to Hurston or whatever school he went to. He made it out. He's like, that is what I am trying to do. So how are you mad that he doesn't know that he's really a dick in real life? How he supposed to know? He barely knows his name. How he supposed to know about this man and how he moves?
And what sort of made me angry in this moment, I sort of put Dr. Wolf's Trap.
No, it's not Wolf.
It's
Hello.
Woods.
Hello.
It's Woods, like you lost it.
Hello. From the other side, in the immortal words of Adele, okay? Woods Trap. You stick to Dr. WT, okay? Hello from the other side.
Hello from
Look.
the other side.
Sing it, Abby. Yes.
Ma'am,
Anyway,
what about
look.
Dr. WT?
What hit me in that moment was that in that moment, I'm not saying I felt this way the whole season, but in that moment, she came across to me as just as out of touch as the principal does. Because when David was talking to her and he was like, look, at home, I'm worried about getting shot or getting run up on. Here, I at least thought that I was safe to get three, get a hot meal and feel a little bit of calm. But now you're telling me I got to play the game here and there. And she was talking about, being ashamed. He was like, I'm trying to survive and you worried about me being shamed. And I felt like
shame is a luxury that I can't afford right now.
Exactly.
Somebody has already fact checked and said it was Hurricane Paul.
Come on with my fact checkers in the room.
Yeah. But ain't nobody fact check that I never said Willie Earl. I always said Willie Derrick or Willie David.
I promise you did.
You said Willie Earl.
I ain't never said a Willie Earl.
You said it at least once.
Did.
I promise you
really
did.
I
promise you did.
Oh damn, Willie Earl.
You want to put
and when you fact check, please put the time stamp.
Hey, put $1.
If I say Willie Earl.
Put $1 on it. I'll cash app you $1 if you did say it. But if you said
I will cash app you $1. I got $5 on it. I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it. Hey.
All right.
No, I said not after us. That song is ruined. This song.
Bobo to Love. Can you do me one more fact check favor, boo? Can you find out what year Hurricane Paul was? Because we got into a discussion in my chat this week where people did not believe that this took place in the 90s. They keep trying to argue with me that it took place in present day. And I was
not
like,
no, in Miami. But there was no real Hurricane Paul in Miami. There was no real Hurricane Paul.
Okay, but then forget it, Bobo. Then I don't want you wasting your time.
I can tell you that. As a Miami resident, there was no Hurricane Paul.
Has there ever? That's so not a hurricane name. I don't.
Well, you know, they get to choose. Anyway, so with that being,
come on, Betty.
With that being said, so that's how we feel about. So, like I said, I felt cringeworthy in that moment. Abby, how did that whole scene with the Senator man? I mean, I know you said that you were upset with Claire because you were like, how was she supposed to know that the guy wasn't no good? But how did you feel in that moment where he was trying to get that guy to write him a letter and all of that? Hey, Spill It Boy, he said 2012. What's 2000?
Hey, mother.
Hey,
Is
mother's
that what
in
the
the
show's
house.
supposed to be? They are payphones, so I don't know. You ain't no payphone around no time.
There wasn't no payphones in Miami in 2012. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, Jesus. Do Jesus. Okay.
But no, somebody in one of our previous panels already told us what year it was supposed to be set. I think it was Dami.
I thought it was 2008.
I think Dami said what year it was supposed to be.
It was the 90s. Wasn't it the 90s?
No, I think it was early 2000. It was in
Early
the 2000s, I think it was.
Okay. Somebody will put it in the chat. So tell me what you're thinking, Abby. How you feel, boo?
I'm very much, I am Team David always. I'm always in his corner. I get it how you live, boo, and I can appreciate.
Thank you, Xavier.
I can appreciate him being like, okay, so he is looking at him the same way he looked at the representative from Hurston. Let me trot out my story and to get what I need. And when he saw it wasn't working, he switched on a dime and did something different. I didn't like that they made her self-righteous about the whole thing. I don't like that. Like,
yeah,
I need to know her background. I need to know her background. And if has she always been a part of the upper echelon of Black people to where it's foreign to her, that type of struggle? Or if she's so far removed from it that she don't remember
interesting
what it's like to be in that situation. And she's like, do better. But ma'am, do you know what I have to deal with on a daily basis? Like,
right.
Come on.
So, Classy Coco J, hold on to your question because that's actually a question I'm going to ask in a few minutes. So, I'm not ignoring you, but we're going to get your question. Spiller Boy has
fact check. Yes.
He said that
but
there
that
was
hurricane never came to Miami. And if you look at
wait a minute. Spiller Boy said that the date of the Hurricane Paul was from October the 13th of 2012. Two things. One, either the writers were just throwing out a name, or two, there was a hurricane, but it didn't come to Miami, but it was predicted to, and it turned at the last minute or something like that. Because I don't think a storm is going to actually come.
But if you look at the trajectory, now this I do remember. If you look at the trajectory of the hurricane at the beginning of the show, it was coming from the deep Atlantic over to Miami, not from Mexico. Coming from Mexico, it would have to come from the west side and hit like the Fort Myers or Naples area, and then come across over to Dade County. And from the way it was coming, it would have had to have come from the Atlantic over through Miami. But I think what they did was they just said, "Oh, we just gonna name it Hurricane Paul," just for the sake of just naming it.
And we know that they made a few other mistakes with a couple of things as well. So like
the bronze
and stuff. Yeah, so it is what it is. The storm is coming. All right.
They should have been Jordans, but okay.
Okay. So El Teddy, how do you feel about that exchange between David and the congressman?
I kind of, like Abby said, he saw what he was saying wasn't working. Because the congressman don't see it for Black people. He certainly don't see it for Black people in the hood. So him talking about his struggles growing up in the hood wasn't hitting or nothing. So he switched it up and he went to the poem that he learned from Dr. Woodstrap. And so he said, well, maybe my hood side won't get him, but I also have an intellectual side that I can also tap into as well. So he immediately went to the intellectual side and ran that poem off the tip of his tongue. It just rolled off the tongue effortlessly. And I think the congressman was impressed by that, because right after he said that poem and let it roll off the tongue effortlessly, he immediately said, "Oh, I remember. I had to recite that from in Dr. Wood's trap class as well." And you know, good English teachers, we always have recitations where you may have to learn this segment of this play or this part of this novel or this poem. We're gonna have a good recitation that you're gonna have to learn for us, okay? Anyway, he probably remembered having to learn that poem, and it made him. It wasn't him being in the hood that made him have a connection with that congressman. It was Dr. Wood's trap, and once he knew that, that helped him get in good with the congressman. That's why he said, make sure you call my assistant, and she'll go ahead and get you squared away.
And I think that's another reason why the point that Ebony made is even more important, because in that moment, David realized that the connection to him was because of their shared of Dr. Wood's trap. You know what I mean? And so that's even more reason that I think David was sort of taken aback when she was like, I ain't studying on him. Like, I'm not checking for him. I don't see it for him. You know what I mean? Because he thought that was the connection. So she's doing some code switching too, because you would have never known that she wasn't feeling that dude like that.
Right. Can we talk about what Rochelle Perkins is saying as a teacher? And I'm a teacher who is taught in the hood of hoods in Miami. You know what I'm saying? I've taught in the worst of the worst hoods in Miami. Okay.
Hey, Louisiana
boy.
boy.
And I will say this as a teacher, and I want to get your thoughts on it as well, really B. You cannot allow students to wallow in and relish in their surroundings, because then that will be all that they know. And as an educator, you want to expose them to things outside of the 5-mile radius, and you want to expose them to what there really is out there, so that they can do the things necessary to get themselves out of their situation. I don't think that Dr. Wood's trap has to go to the hood, and Dr. Wood's trap seems like a veteran teacher that's been around for a long time, because you got this congressman who said that he had her, and Sky had Dr. Wood's trap as well. So she's one of those, she's been there, did that, and done that. And having had that pedigree and having had that already knowing where he comes from, she's at the point where she's just like, I don't need you to do that. I don't need you to try to channel into. That's not what's going to get you where you need to be. I want you to be better, and I don't want you to have to rely on that, because I've seen that over and over and over and over, and I want better for you.
Okay, so I missed that. I didn't know Sky had her.
Remember Sky in some of the hallucinations. Sky talked about having Dr. Wood's trap as well. If you go back to former episode.
Yeah, I missed it. I believe you. I just missed it. Okay. So for me, that was a very cringeworthy moment. As far as what you were saying, El Teddy, I agree to a certain extent, because I agree that, but I feel like, because I worked with educators who I feel like kind of fell into with where I feel like Dr. Wood's trap is. I agree with what you're saying, but I also feel like sometimes you can stay too long at the party and lose touch. And so, yes, I do think that I don't think Dr. Wood's trap is ignorant to where people come from and different challenges. But do I think that she is totally understanding of David's situation? I don't think she is. I thought she was at the beginning. At the beginning of the season, I thought she very much understood David. Not so sure anymore. Not so sure anymore.
And I'm looking at some of the comments. Deshaun saying, you know, what he said, Deshaun Jigga, if you look at his comment. But I think that, first of all, Dr. Wood's trap is not privy to all of what David has going on. And as an educator, you got to think, and we're looking at this story through, it's really third person omniscient. Well, it's really first person, because we're looking at it through David's eyes, but there are times where it kind of feels like third person omniscient, as I go into English teacher speak anyway. But my point is this. As a teacher, sometimes you don't want to be privy to all that's going on because you might have as 200 students, you know what I'm saying, that you're dealing with, and you just being honest, if you are a teacher looking at it from a teacher's perspective, there might be students that you are preferential to, and I'm not going to lie to you and say that we aren't, but at the same point in time, if you got 200 students, you got 199 other students that you have to deal with and be concerned with their well-being at all. And no one person can truly be that vested in 200 people equally, like you want Dr. Woodstrap to be invested in David, because if she does that, then she's going to be neglecting other students and their stories and what they have going on. And specifically for this story, we are talking about David. So just to play devil's advocate for Dr. Woodstrap, she has to be in tune with what David has going on, but she has to think about all of her students.
Okay. I will absolutely give you that. But that does, it's just the self-righteousness that she came at him with behind that man, just because you already know I was on the fence with her. Like, do you want him to succeed or not? Well, I mean, want him to succeed, but you want to then dictate what his success looks like. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, now
can y'all hear me? I can hear you.
Anything. El Teddy, can you hear me?
I love you too, Joyce Simmons. I can hear you.
Okay.
I think it's my phone that's making that noise, and I apologize now that clicking. I think it might be my phone. I don't know what's doing it.
Yay! I'm not the Deshaun this week. Woohoo!
Yes, it has been passed on. It has been passed because it was me too for a minute. It was me. So yeah, okay. So
I can't hear you. I can't hear a word you say.
We'll move on.
Still Deshaun Jesus. I may have to go out and come back in.
So you can't
hear you.
Oh God!
I can't hear you.
Oh my God!
Father God, Lord, we just can't get right. That's what they're gonna call us.
We can't get right tonight.
We never get right.
We can't get right tonight.
What? So El Teddy. Okay, so we gonna tag team this. We gonna wait for El Teddy to come back, and then I'm gonna come back in because clearly we can't get right.
Can't get right tonight. Okay, El Teddy. Now Abby gonna go out so she can come back in because we can't get right tonight. All right.
I really think it's me that's doing that clicking.
I know, but I can't hear really be. So I'm gonna tag myself out. I'll be right back. Hold on.
All right. So we're not gonna belabor the point. I think everybody has some good points. I think the conversation is doing really well in the chat. But I do want us to move on to some other points though. But I hear what everybody is saying, and there's as a teacher, there's no perfect. You know what I mean? There's no perfect. And El Teddy makes a valid point that when you're responsible for minimum 150 plus students a day, it's a lot, and it doesn't make it. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just explaining the situation. So, really, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna have to throw some antibiotics to the chat because y'all see I'm over here, but I feel okay. Like I don't feel sick right now, but y'all see.
I noticed that we are I don't hear that clicking noise anymore. Now that Abby is gone, I'm just going to drink my drink to that.
Drink your drink. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what's that boy name? Shinobi and Willie Earl. Let's talk about Shinobi and Willie Earl.
Now, is that his brother and we just don't know?
That's his brother. No, we know. Remember?
I never remember hearing that.
Remember in the first episode when David came home from school and Willie Earl and JG was getting ready to fight? And remember Shinobi jumped in it? Because remember, Willie Earl was supposed to be the lookout, but he had ran his mouth at school. So they was like,
Willie Derrick. Oh, where's my marker?
His name Willie Earl now. We the captain now. Hell.
The boy's name is Willie Derrick. Willie freaking Derrick. And you the first one to get mad when people mess up your name, Really BTV, and you can't remember other people's name. The boy name is Willie Derrick.
I don't care about nobody messing up my name. When you see me get mad about that?
As long as my name is spelled right on my
I don't care about nobody messing up my name. Shit. I don't care. But I don't mean to get people's name wrong on purpose. But thank you, Joyce Sims. Somebody fact checked, and Joyce Sims said that you did say Willie Earl. So I will take that.
I never said Willie Earl in my review. Go back to my review, Joyce Simmons. You talk about what I said here because these heifers are saying Willie Earl. Go back to my review and you show me give me the timestamp where I say Willie Earl.
I tell you what.
No, Jada, not alternative facts, Jesus.
Alternative facts. Come on for the hashtag. I'm here for the hashtag. Yes, Jaded, I'm here for it.
So, Abby, tell me how you feel about the scene with Abby, that's you with the clicking. Because there wasn't no clicking when you was gone.
Damn.
But no, but when you're talking, there's no clicking. So tell me how you feel about Shinobi in this whole moment. Like, is the chickens coming home to roost? You know, he's selling these drugs that ended up killing his brother. Like, how did you feel with that whole situation? And I'll be right back. Abby, you talk, and then El Teddy, you talk, and I'll be right back.
I was upset because I love Lil Willie Earl.
I don't hear the clicking now that Really BTV is going. I just want to say that.
You so much sweet. I felt like I was sideswiped by Willie Earl. Like, why are you who gave you pills to take? So you just saw the pills and you just decided to take them? Wow. Okay, this is the mama in me. I'm like, why is nobody watching you? Why are you first? Okay, I gave birth to 2 sons. One unfortunately passed away at the age of 2. The other one today is 24. He'll be 25 on his next birthday.
Oh, you got only children. How cute is your son, Ed? Because I flirts with everybody. Is your son cute?
He's adorable. I love his
face. Oh my God. To come holler at me. 24, that's grown age.
Go back to my Instagram. He on now.
Oh, chat. Let me go see. Oh, Lord. You should have told me that.
I don't you. First of all,
hey, son.
At the age of Willie Earl, my son couldn't be outside just willy-nilly, and I don't know where he at and what's going on. So, and the mama in me is pissed that where the adults at? Where the hell are these adults? That's my question. Where is Shinobi's parents? Are they gone? Are they dead? Are they on drugs? Is he taking care of Willie Earl like David has to take care of JG? What is happening?
Willie Derrick is a hood child, and hood children raise themselves, or they get raised by the thugs in the hood. That's just the way it works. I'm sorry, but that is the truth of the matter. Hood children. But now that Really BTV is going, I have a couple of topics that I wanted to bring up because we already 47 minutes and we ain't even got halfway through. One of the topics that got brought up in my chat
here. I am right here. I'm not gone.
One of the topics that got brought up in my comment section.
I'm not gone.
Hello.
I'm right here.
Hello.
I'm not gone.
Hello right from the other side. One of the topics.
Jada, don't be encouraging debauchery. Don't do that. So, I have a question.
One of the topics that was brought up. Can we bring up this topic? Because while we're on this, we really can speak to this. The biggest or most argued about topic in my comments, because we argued in my comment, is Sarah's mom rolling through the school, nearly Willie, just being able to go to somebody's class. Now, as a teacher,
she had the security guard as an escort.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Listen, I speak from experience. I taught in Miami-Dade County Public Schools for 14 years, okay?
Maybe it is me.
I taught in Miami-Dade County Public School, which is where this school would be, for 14 years. There are laws, rules, and things in place, especially in secondary education, where you have more students and more kids. You as a parent, I don't care how mad, how flustered, how broke down, busted, and disgusted and angry that you get, you are not rolling through there without having been fingerprinted. If you are going through the school during school hours, even if you are a volunteer, there are levels to being a volunteer at the school. There are different levels for us in Miami-Dade County. Even on the bottom level, you must be fingerprinted. Must be. And to go through the school during school hours, or even to interact with students not your own child, you must be fingerprinted. Why? Because there are a lot of parents that are child predators and are parents.
Oh.
There are parents who have felonies involving children that are parents and have students that go to the school. And while that parent may be thinking about their one child, the school has to be concerned with all of the children. And you may be thinking about your one child, but there have been cases, and I mentioned this in the chat, in the comment section. There have been parents because their child told them some one-sided story or told them some made-up or make-believe story about how they were being bullied or how something happened to them and neglected to tell the whole story. And that mom or dad comes out there for retaliation on another child. It happens where parents roll up in the school and say, oh, you bullied my daughter or my son, so now I'm finna drag you up and down the hallways. Things like that have happened. And that is why if you are not, and even with volunteers, even if you're volunteered and you are on certain levels, if it's during the school day, if it is during the time where class is taking place, instruction is taking place, and you are not an employee of Miami-Dade County, and you have not been given strategic approval to be in that school, they're not going to let you into that classroom. And I don't care who you are. I don't care how. This is what they're going to do. They will call that classroom. Can you send so-and-so down? Or they will send that security guard to that classroom, and the security guard will escort that child down to the office in order for you to get them. But that is a safety to life situation. That is a security breach. That does not happen at a public school. It can't, because you want me to protect your child just like you want me to protect everybody else's child. And the only way we can do that is to make sure that everybody who comes in contact with your child should be in contact with your child. That's the long and short of it.
Well, okay. I can only speak to Virginia and North Carolina, where my children, I lived in we moved in the middle when they were in elementary school. Oh, really? B's internet went out? Oh no. And she tried to get it back up. So we keep it pushing. So and the only thing you have to do is come into the office and sign in. You have to show your ID. You have to, there's a little.
Now, did you do that on the middle school and high school level?
High school is when it got fancy.
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm that's what I'm speaking to, because I've only taught middle school and high school. I will admit on the elementary level, a lot of times because they know how parents are with the younger kids, they sometimes will allow them to do that. But when you get to middle school and high school, because you're dealing with so many more kids, and because you're dealing with the older and bigger kids, they just don't play them games. They don't play them games on the secondary level. Primary level with the elementary, they will allow that more often. But on the secondary level, they ain't playing them games. They ain't playing them games.
Right. So when in high school, when my last kid was in high school, you would have to go to the office, show your ID, and they would call the child to the office. You're not roaming around on the campus at all unless you have an escort. Like when we found out, because this is my wild child. We found out that she was coming to first period, so I didn't get the call that she was absent. But then she was skipping second and third period, and then she would go to fourth period. So she had all of these absences in these 2 classes. So I had to do a pop. They called me and it was like, well, why isn't she not here? I said, I drop her off every morning. What you mean she's not here? Bet. So I come up to the school, and the second and third block teacher had to come get me and then escort me to the classroom.
Yeah, see, in Miami-Dade County, and we're a lot. Well, just to be honest, Miami-Dade County public schools is the 4th largest school district in the country. 4th largest is number 4 in terms of the largest school districts in the country. So there are a lot of things in place because we're so large that just are not going to happen. Okay. Now, and I just to move the process along. One of the other comments that I got a lot of, or that really intrigued me from my comment section, was when David had the whole scene, and we'll dissect that whole scene, but there was a portion of the scene with David and Ray, when David said to Ray, we both got something to worry about. Let's just make sure Teo worried about him too.
They talk about that.
Was wondering who were they talking about in that particular scene, in that with that comment, because I didn't know.
Because Desmond is the one that's on their back, that's threatening them, that's giving them the business, that and David wants him gone because he killed.
But I didn't feel like it was Desmond, because when they said let's make sure Teo is worried about him too. And maybe it is Desmond, but with that part, I didn't feel like that was who they were talking about.
I do believe it is, because I knew David put his stuff in motion. He started a plan in his mind when he saw that boy jump over that railing and realized that was the person that killed Scott. Now that he started. When Teo came to pick up that money, and he had that whole conversation he had with him about Desmond coming and roughing up their people and all that other stuff, David has a plan to get that man got before any of that other stuff. And the reason why Desmond killed Sky, David didn't even know that piece yet, but he knows that's the man that killed Sky. So he started whatever their plan is, because I know there's a plan to get rid of Desmond. It started then.
But definitely, I think Teo, I want to see how Teo is going to handle the Desmond situation. I am curious to see how he handles that. Another thing that I brought up in my review that I want to see your take on is the Saren leaving. Mm-hmm. While I was making my review, we all know that David assisted in Saren leaving. So that wasn't what I was talking about. But in my review, while I was literally taping my review, thinking about this episode, it dawned on me, I really feel like, and I'm going to get close to the camera, I really feel like David came into this plan later. I felt like the plan for Saren to go to Tampa was decided or talked about initially at the Halloween events, because when Miss Elijah was with Saren, Miss Elijah, we only saw parts of their conversation, and then they skipped to another scene. But I do feel like that there was, because remember when we left that scene, Miss Elijah put the little extra makeup in his pocket, and this Miss Elijah kept on fixing his makeup and the hair. There was more conversation that was had. Mm-hmm. And I think when Sarah knew that Miss Elijah told him that, hey, I take in kids from other areas, this, that, and the third. There was a this is how I feel, and I could be totally wrong. But I felt like there was a conversation that was had, and that is what came out of it. And that's why at the end of that episode, it was implanted to us that when you say Star, I say Star, he said, "Oh, I'm going back to Tampa." They weren't ready to tell David yet. And so that's why Starry just said, "Oh, I'm going back to Tampa." He made up an excuse. But remember, Starry told him from the beginning, he was from Tampa. He was escaping Tampa originally. Remember, if you remember,
originally on his way to Tampa.
No,
He's
if you
from
remember,
somewhere else.
if you, I remember. Now I could be wrong. Somebody go fact check. But if we go back to episode 2, I remember, or if it was either episode 2 or episode 3, I remember him saying, "I'm from Tampa. I'm from Tampa." And so after that, David, and I wrote that down, and I'm gonna go back and look through my notes while I let you talk. But I remember him saying he was from Tampa, and if he's escaping Tampa, there's no reason for him to be going back to Tampa, if that makes sense. If that's where he was escaping from.
Ooh,
And so I'm just
said
connecting dots and trying to put that together. And what I was going to say was I felt like David got brought into the situation after they had already decided it. And so that note that Starry gave to David, because remember, Starry was saying, "I'm going to miss you." And I linked that to Starry's in last episode 7. And I linked that to with them having made the decision for Starry to go to Tampa, that they said, "Oh, that Starry wrote that note to David during that day and gave it to him and said, 'I'm gonna miss you,' because he knew that they had come up with this plan to go to Tampa, and he knew he was going to miss David." And so that's how I was connecting those dots with all of that.
Do you think we're going to get a flashback to the conversation of maybe
I hope
Sharon
so.
confessing to Miss Elijah what's happening to him in the house, and he's trying to get to his daddy in Tampa?
I hope
and
so.
then they hatched this plan at that point, and then brought David in after the fact.
I hope so.
How y'all in here and I wasn't?
What? Yay!
You mad? You mad?
I was wondering why y'all wasn't saying nothing to me when I was texting y'all. Y'all was in here having a good time without me.
Show was.
Come back.
Internet went out. It wouldn't come back on. I had to call the cable company, get them to resend the signal. I know I paid the damn bill. I didn't know what the problem was.
I know that's right. I know that's damn right.
Okay, anyway, what we talking about?
We
talking about Saren going to Tampa, and my theory that they decided it at the events during Halloween.
I saw that on your review. I didn't think about it until you said it in your review. I honestly didn't.
Do we think he's going to be with his daddy? Okay, first of all, how does the stepdaddy talk to the daddy?
That's what I was gonna say.
Daddy, and
did we have that conversation? Because I thought that was
stepdaddy know more than he's saying.
He does.
He does.
And here's the thing, and I know this is gonna come off real uncomfortable.
Did you want to fight his mama too? Okay.
This is gonna come off left field and real uncomfortable, but it will be great writing and make you think, how do we know that Saren is really not okay with the dad?
With the stepdaddy?
With the stepdad.
But even if that's the case, it would be misplaced. It still would be inappropriate.
Right. Oh, it's still inappropriate.
It could be like a.
But I introduced that into the situation because Saren may confide in the stepdad because he is comfortable with the stepdad and what's going on.
And that would speak to the level of intimacy between them when he was tying his tie.
And the fact that, see, Saren, I say that because Saren may know outwardly that the general public would think that that's taboo, but between just when it's just them two, it's okay.
See, now Louisiana Boy, that's what I thought. Louisiana Boy said that he thought the stepdad was just sort of thinking on his toes so that the police wouldn't get further involved. That's what I thought. I mean, I'm not saying that y'all's theory is wrong. I'm just saying I just thought that he was thinking quick, like, oh, wait a minute. We really don't want the police coming up in our house and doing too much investigating. So let me tell them that I think I know. I think it just coincidentally came where he went with Tampa. But that's just me. That's just me.
That could be the correct answer as well. We don't know. We don't.
I'm sure. I don't even know if we will find out this season. I hope we do. But there's a very real possibility that Sarah may really not have a problem with the stepdad. The problem may truly be with his mom. And I agree. I think really BTV said it first in her review that all of this is centered around the mom and her jealousy for Sarah and the fact that the stepdad is really in love with Sarah and not as in love with her. And the mom is just a conduit to which the stepdad can be with Sarah.
I don't know. But what'll be interesting is the thing is I don't know how much they resolved. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing whether there was going to be a season 2 or not. I don't know how much of the storyline they tied up and how much they sort of left hanging. So
Pretty Lips, the GOAT says child molesters manipulate their victims. Some victims fall in love with the molester.
Absolutely.
That is very
That's
true.
not love. That's Stockholm syndrome. It just mimics love. That's not what that is.
Right.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, that's why I said what I said. Sarah may believe that, you know, he's in a good place with the stepdad when it's just, you know, pedophilia at its best. And it's a manipulation of this young child. And there's so much, the beauty of the show is there's so many layers. There's so many layers to everything.
I'm sorry, Elton, I didn't mean to cut you off. Joyce Sims had a good question. Do you think that Saren told his biological father what's going on? I don't think he did. I think he told Miss Elijah. I think Miss Elijah knows the whole story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do think
just told his daddy, "Mommy acting crazy," and he was with her, so he knows she crazy, and that's enough. But okay, so let me pose this because El Teddy, I know you had an issue with Saren and his white mama, but her acting about it, this story she told about how she was teaching Saren how to act while he's out in the company of other Black children. When I say I wanted to come to that screen and whoop her, like,
but watch this.
I don't know why you struck me as
that shouts out to the actress that plays that character because everybody hates her. Oh, you can't help but hate this whore. You cannot help but hate her. And she is acting her ass. I ain't lying, like you loathe her. Just the sheer sight of her. And it's a tribute to her as an actor. And you know what I equate it to? I equate it to the actor that plays Tariq on Power.
Oh, thank you.
Nobody can talk about Tariq without hating him. And if you follow him on Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat, he's so likable as himself, but as Tariq, you loathe him. And it's a great actor, it's hard to separate the two. Right. If you're a great actor, it's hard to separate the character you play from the real person that you are that may be totally different. And so even
that's how people feel about that little boy who played Joffrey on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They feel the same. People
which is why his mom made them kill him off. Because in the books, he doesn't get killed off that early in the books. Just saying.
Oh, interesting. I never read the books. Interesting.
Right.
So,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, babe.
Just one more piece. I understand the importance of because I had the same conversation with my sons and my daughters about how to conduct yourself when you leave this house. I need you to do whatever it is that you need to do to come back to this house in the same manner in which you left. But there was something about that speech coming from this white woman
because it wasn't genuine.
It rubbed me in all the wrong places, and I really want to believe that a mama is a mama and is a mama, but there's just something about and the manner in which she said it. You can't hang out with other. She wanted to use the N-word, but she caught herself,
right?
Because she realized she had two niggas in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, the police just see brown boys everywhere, and he's not like them. Them who?
Right.
Who is them?
Right.
Don't because he is them.
He is.
Right.
He is
He's
them.
Absolutely them.
So did we talk about Kool-Aid Dreadlock Boy and the police, that whole situation? Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't talk about that yet.
They set him up.
Do y'all think that he's snitching, or do y'all think the police set him up? I think the police.
No, I think he's snitching. I think he's snitching. I think he's snitching.
I think he's snitching, and they set him up.
Because Miami-Dade County Police, and this look like, see, in Miami-Dade County, just to give you a little history or give you some insight on Miami-Dade County, what they showed when they went to the headquarters, the building they showed was City of Miami Police Department. The building that they showed right before they showed Teo going to get Desmond out of the police station was City of Miami Police Department. In Miami-Dade County, most counties in Florida, you have the sheriff's office that's over the entire county. And then you'll have your individual municipalities or city police departments that are for the individual city. What they showed was the City of Miami Police, which would be a municipality or a city's police department. But we also have the Miami-Dade County Police, which in every other county outside of Miami-Dade County, which would be the sheriff's office. Anyway, my point is this. Neither the City of Miami Police Department nor Miami-Dade County Police Department has any parts of taking anybody that they put in handcuffs to go get nobody's food. Okay? No way, shape, form, or fashion unless you are an informant for them. Period. And so what it made me feel like was they would often pick him up, and I think I said it in my review was, I don't know that he's telling them things about his drug hole or their, whole ring or whatever, but he may be informing them about other ones. And so because of the information that he's providing them about other drug dealers or about other drug organizations, they are coming to pick him up every week so that he can feed them information so that they get closer to making arrests or get closer to, ending that. So that's the only way I see what happened last episode with them taking him to Pollo Tropical to get him food and stuff like that happening. Because that's just not going to happen.
Well, I think the police are setting him up, and I understand that you're giving us a history of how it really goes down. But I also take into the account that it's a TV show and they can have a little bit of creative license. So I get what you're saying, El Teddy, that ain't how it would really go down. But I think they setting him up. I think they purposely wanted that. They did that so that the other guy would think that he was snitching to sort of create a rift to see what would happen then. That's what I think.
Well, how did he get out of jail so quickly before?
Because he's snitching.
That's what I'm saying. He's not getting out of jail that quick. If they arrest you on drugs, you're getting out of jail that fast. That's what I'm saying. He got
that was a stop and frisk. They had no proof that those boys were dealing. They were out there talking, and they rolled up on them and they took them in.
But jump out. That's jump out. That's a little different from.
That's some bullshit anyway.
But jump out is gonna follow you. You understand what I'm saying? If you jump out most time have been following you for a while, and they already know your
What I'm
tactics.
saying was,
They
in
know
that
what you're
moment,
gonna do.
they didn't have anything on him, so they had nothing to hold him on. That was just some harassment off the break. They
Which
didn't
is
have nothing
what
on him.
which is what my point is. And I can only go from living in Miami-Dade County, and I don't know how they do it in other areas, but I know living in Miami, when Jump Out come and get you, if Jump Out meaning unmarked cars, they got on regular clothes and all this, that, and the third, when they come and get you, they got you. You ain't coming out for a while. Now, if they just want to get you for the bullshit, they'll call the regular police. Jump Out will talk to the regular police and say, just go pick him up just to mess with him. And then they'll let you go because they ain't really got nothing.
Again,
Okay.
I hear you. But again, I feel like this is a situation where you know how it really goes down, but I'm understanding that it's still a TV show and that they might not be writing how it really goes down, but they're writing the story. For me, I feel like, this is just me, in that moment, they didn't have nothing on him. He didn't have no drugs. He didn't have no money. He didn't even have any money on him because the stash was...
So why are they taking them to get something to eat?
That's what I'm saying. I think they're trying to create a rift. They're trying to shake the trees and see what fall out. We're going to pick both of these people because you're right. They probably know what he's doing, and they know who that dude is. They know who light-skinned Jamaican boy is. They know he a hitman. They know what's up. They trying to shake the trees and see what fall out. And that's just my 2 cents.
I'm looking at A-Snack. They even knew he liked extra cilantro sauce. So this ain't the first time they did that.
That don't mean he really liked it. That just means that's
no.
what they
That means this ain't the first time they done did that. They know him.
No, they setting that boy up. That boy
They
ain't
wasn't setting him up
that.
nothing. I ain't buying it.
Hold on.
They ain't
They
ordering no
set him
extra
So
cilantro.
wait a minute. So my thing is, sometimes
Cynthia.
police come just to see if they can catch you with your pants down. Sometimes they was like, well, if we just show up, let's see what's shaking, what they got going on. And
Yeah,
I
I
feel
just think
like
they're just taking the tree.
I feel like them detectives weren't even there for Ray. They were there for Desmond. They've been following Desmond around.
Yeah, that might be how Ray got out because that ain't who they wanted.
Because that ain't who they wanted.
But why would they
when
know
saw
Ray's
them
name?
together,
And why would
They know his name because they picked him up before. They know his name.
you're right, but how would they know he like extra cilantro?
Who says he really does? That's just what they ordered for him. That's like if I
And
take
did you see Ray's?
McDonald's and I order
Did
you a
you see
Big Mac
Ray's
with extra
face?
sauce.
Because Ray knew he had been caught.
No,
Did you see Ray's face?
Ray knew that.
Ray knew that no matter
That boy
what he
wasn't gonna
said at
believe
this
him.
point,
He knew he
Desmond
was
didn't-
dead.
He's now a snitch to Desmond. It don't matter.
Exactly. He
And
knew
at
that
this
no matter
point, it
what,
don't
that boy.
matter. It don't.
Right.
If you protest, you protesting too much. You damned if you
I
do,
can be
you damned
wrong,
if you don't.
but
So he
I
ain't say
will
nothing.
find out. I could be wrong,
Yeah, I
but
could be
we'll
wrong
find
too,
out.
but that's just how I felt in that moment. Because my thing is, if I take you to McDonald's, I ain't never took you to McDonald's before, and I'd be like, yo, let me get that Big Mac meal with extra sauce like you like it, El Teddy. That don't mean that's how you really like it. That doesn't mean what I ordered for you. You know what I'm saying?
We know
I'm
El
just
Teddy
saying.
like the extra sauce. Don't you?
Actually, I don't eat condiments. I do not eat condiments. Let the record show. So I don't like extra nothing. My shit is dry. I eat choke sandwiches, okay? And being that I don't have a gag reflex, that works out for me.
We know.
All right, I'm almost done with my questions. I have, before we get to the final showdown, okay, because we got to talk about the final showdown. So, unless y'all talked about that while I was gone.
We didn't.
No.
Okay. So, David and the uncle, the confrontation between David and the uncle. Did y'all talk about that?
No.
No.
All right. So, David and the uncle have this moment where, first of all,
The uncle
I feel
fine.
like-
Did I say that? Oh.
I feel like David didn't have to give the uncle that money. I feel like David almost wants Red to get caught because he got to get that prescription pad back. And I almost feel like, because he could have just as easily said he didn't know where the money was. He could say, well, Ray got picked up by the police and I don't know where he keeps the money. Like, he could have easily have gotten out of that. But I feel like he gave the man that money. And when the money was too heavy, then he was stuck. But I don't know, y'all. What y'all think?
Uncle Teo. They asked what the uncle name was. Teo.
Oh, Teo. Okay.
Yeah.
Uncle. His name Uncle.
Fine ass nigga. Okay. So about this prescription pad, I don't think David cops to it, and I don't think he gives it back.
But they gonna catch him. They gonna catch him.
First of all, that him not being right enough to understand that they're gonna catch him, that's not the issue. The issue is I think that David is thinking in his mind, as many troubled youth as you counsel as a school counselor, why are you singling me, this little black boy, out?
Because he knew you.
Be the one
He had the prescription pad before your ass came in the office and it was gone when you left.
We don't know when he realized it was gone.
Let me tell you something.
We don't have that information.
He know. We
don't know if Dr. Bree is giving this same conversation to every patient that he has.
He may very well be doing that.
Because he very well said, if you took it, I want it back.
That is true. That is true.
So Dr. Bree doesn't know for 100% sure that David took it. Now, they do some investigations and it come up in the neighborhood.
Well, I'm just saying.
But my question is, was that drugstore is that the same drugstore Gloria went to, or is there? I
don't think they in the hood. I think they went outside of the hood. I think that's why Shinobi had to play, and he was sitting there with the white woman. Yeah.
He had to pick up his government.
Yeah. What you think, El Teddy, about the confrontation between David and the uncle?
The one thing we know about David is calculated.
Very much so. David
plans shit out way in advance. And I think that we're going to find out that there was something in this conversation that David had already planned out a while ago.
Well, we know he's supposed to get rid of the Jamaican guy.
Right.
We know that.
Even I'll give you the perfect example. It was episode either 1 or 2 where the seeds were planted for the prescription pad.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought it was dealing with the mom. It was never for the mom. It was always David planning how he was going to make this happen. David had already decided before episode 1 that he was going to sell drugs, these prescription drugs. And so I think what happened is we started to see, it come to fruition. I think even in this conversation that he has with the uncle, I think that what happens is David, something that we're going to pick up on, David had already planted the seeds for way before. And okay. I'm curious to see how that's going to work out, because David went on, and I said on my review, I think David was being passionate, but I also think David was playing it up about the Desmond, because he don't see it for Desmond. He already figured out Desmond is the one who killed Sky. He don't want Desmond nowhere around him. So naturally, he's going to play up how horrible Desmond is and how bad of a job Desmond is doing as the person who Teo is sending to, implement his, plans or whatever. And he don't see it for Desmond, and I don't blame him. And so naturally, he's going to play that up. And I do think there was a part of that in this confrontation between between Teo and David. That's just how I feel about it.
Oh,
it kicked me out. What happened?
Child, look, the producer is cutting up tonight. That's all I got to say. Abby, how you feel about it? We already told me how you feel, but add anything else.
Yeah, David was very strategic in how he answered the uncle's questions. He had plausible deniability for everything that's going down in the hood about these just the new drugs being sold on top of whatever else they got going on. Because every answer was, as far as I know, X, Y, and Z. So he played they doing something behind my back and I don't know what they're doing. So when it really go down, it's gonna fall on Ray and Shinobi.
And me and really BTB have already discussed the fact that I've said that Ray has to get out of the picture. Ray either has to die or go completely out of the picture so that David can take his place at the top. And so there can be this big vacuum that's created, and there's this Mexican standoff between Shinobi, who wants to be in charge, and David, because that's going to happen. The face-off between Shinobi and David.
So here's my thing. I think that David is going to use Ray as his Trojan horse until he uses him up and get rid of him. And I think that with the way that David moved in the Shinobi situation with Willie Earl, has gained him now an ally with Shinobi. I hope next week Shinobi don't be back to his same bullshit.
Who will?
I hope. Oh, damn.
I don't know. All right, y'all. So last but not least, the big showdown of the episode. The big payback, the big showdown of the episode, where we see Ray and we see David, and that baby was snotting and spitting, and they were both in the moment. That was some good acting. But let's talk about the substance of what we found out. Now, we found out in this scene that basically Ray then set his dad up to get killed. He knew what to say to his uncle, but what he thought was that his uncle was probably just going to beat him up. He didn't expect his uncle to kill him.
First of all, who called their uncle on their daddy when they get a beat? That's what I want to.
A bit.
Well, there is that.
Somebody who didn't grow up in the hood and understand the rules, like David said, you take your ass whooping and you keep going. You don't call nobody because you got your ass whooped. You take the ass whooping and you keep going. Like, that's how we roll.
Especially when you was wrong from the gate.
Right. And that's what David said. And you were wrong to begin with. But I also think that there was an underlying wanting to control the drug territory as well. I think it was a convenient excuse to get Sky out of the way. I don't think, because it don't seem like he all that concerned about his nephew, that he was out here riding or dying for his nephew. But I do think it was a convenient excuse to get rid of Sky. I do
right, because Teo is his mama's brother. He ain't got no relation to Sky.
Right.
So clearly it ain't nothing but a thing. Clearly to off your brother-in-law, but yeah, the whole point, it was a plan set in motion over some punk ass shit, and I think it had something to do with him being angry that Ty and David's relationship, and then because something had to happen. Once his dad beat him up, like I think the beating was the straw that broke the camel's back for Ray, and his decision to get his dad got. So I honestly believe it's seeing Sky and David's relationship, and then the car wreck and the beating happened, and that was enough for him and his spoiled ass.
Yeah.
To decide.
That's what it boiled down to. You like David said. David said you couldn't take an ass whooping. Basically, you could not take that ass whooping. And you want to play gangster, like somebody just said in the chat. You want to play gangster, but you can't. You don't know how to follow all the rules of being a play quote unquote gangster. And you ran to your uncle, and like I said, what he didn't understand was that uncle real gangster. Uncle's the real gangster. So you ran to your uncle. Let me tell y'all something. I told y'all before at the beginning of this show that today is the anniversary of my brother's death. Now, my brother was a big dude. He wasn't no skinny guy. And my brother used to tell me all the time, my brother said, look, if you call me to come handle some business, you better mean it. Because I'm too big to fight. I'm showing up with a gun. And I promise you, that's what my brother used to tell me. He said, I'm too big to fight. I'm showing up with a gun. So if you call me to come handle something, you better mean it. We're not playing no games. Ain't no false alarms. If I get in my car and I drive to DC from Philadelphia, when I show up, it's business. It ain't none of that, oh, my bad. It ain't none of that, oh, just rough him up a little bit. My brother said, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got no time for that. Okay. And so I think it's sort of that same situation with Ray. Really? El Teddy.
Yes.
So why are you
You're sideways. You're sideways, El Teddy.
Oh, I know. My bad.
But I think that's what it was, that, you know, he called himself, I'm going to call my uncle on you, thinking that uncle was just going to beat him up a little bit and teach him, quote unquote, teach daddy a lesson. He realized uncle showing up with hitters. You know what I'm saying?
And pew, pew, everybody going to die. Now what?
Dami, El Teddy, Dami said check your DMs.
Oh, I did. That's why I went sideways.
It goes down in the DMs. Hey.
Prayers to you, as Magna Mill. Thank you so much, baby. Prayers to you, baby. But yeah, so El Teddy, how you feel about the big showdown? How you feeling?
And I think we talked about this earlier. The biggest thing I took from it was when David said that both him and Ray had something to be nervous about, and hopefully Teo will be nervous about that thing as well. I want to know who or what they're talking about, because I can't. I for the life of me, I couldn't figure that out.
You don't think they're talking about the murder itself? You think they're talking about something else?
I think they're talking about Desmond.
I think it's something else. I don't think it's the murder.
Because Desmond is about to tell the uncle that he's snitching. And Desmond
And the other thing about it is, too, Scott been dead for a while now.
Only from the summer. It ain't been that long.
It hasn't been that long.
He got killed. He got killed in the
But why would David be worried about Sky dying?
Huh?
I'm saying in terms of to be worried. David had nothing to do with Sky dying. So there's nothing for him to be worried about.
He sees Desmond as an issue because Desmond killed Sky. And all intents and purposes, he killed his father. So,
but I don't think that's what they're talking about. I just didn't get that. I didn't get that Sky's death was what they were talking about. Hey, Shakira.
I absolutely thought that's what it was. I think that because Ray is freaked out because Teo got that money, and Desmond is going to tell the uncle that he's snitching. And
the English teacher said,
I believe that's the story that he gave his uncle to get him killed.
That would be too easy. Snitching. The English teacher in me says that we are still in rising action. The true climax of this season is not going to happen until the last episode. And so what that says to me is that there's a lot more for us to learn. And it would be too easy for us to have just figured that out that easy. Think about everything we've learned thus far. Every time we think we know something, they throw a monkey wrench. And one thing I can attribute to the writers, they have been great in their writing. They have been great in their writing. And they always give us something that we can always point back way back. First episode, second episode, third episode, the episodes where really BTV say I wasn't feeling this episode. But now when we look back at it, it was stuff directly pointed back to those episodes that say, oh, because think about when David first wrote down the prescriptions on episode 2 when he was on that bus. And we was like, why is he writing this down?
Or even the fact that was the episode that I didn't like. That was the day he met Star. Star was on his way anyway, but that was the day that him and Star connected. And we see that same episode. And we see that's what got Saren out. So all of it is definitely connected. And the writing, you're right. What I love about the writing is that it's not predictable. So with that being said, that's my perfect segue into predictions. What are y'all predictions moving forward? We got 3 episodes left.
2. Only 2.
Okay, so my question is, how if you think they're gonna do something extra in the next 2 episodes, you think the writers are writing with a second season already in mind, even though one hasn't been guaranteed yet? They haven't been picked up for a second season yet? Or do you think this is the start of them tying up loose ends just in case this one season is all we get?
They could have done it 2 ways. They could have filmed 2 endings so that just, not sure which one to use. or they could have tied up enough storylines and kept the door open on others so that there's still something to kind of talk about. You know what I'm saying? The answer is I honestly don't know, but I know that it could be two different things that they could do. My prediction, I think I agree with you, El Teddy, and we are still in rising action. We have not hit the climax, and we are definitely not falling. I think that there will be some sort of an explosion next episode because we do only have that one episode left. I don't know what the explosion. I mean, that thing getting louder. I don't know what's going on over there, but I don't know what that explosion is going to be. But there's going to be some sort of. I think something big is going to hit us next week. I don't think that's going to be the final, but I think it's going to be something big. It's like the mini explosion, that I think something's going to hit us next week. I'm curious as to if this is the last we've seen of Siren. Saren. Why I call that boy Siren? Saren. I'm curious if shut up. Y'all be quiet. Don't you shake your head at me, Teddy. Don't shake your head. I know that boy name is Siren. I know that boy name is Siren. Anyway. I think part of the cliffhanger is going to be whether he got into Hurston or not. I don't think we're going to find that out this season. I don't think we're going to find out if he got into Hurston. I see you, El Teddy. I don't know if we're going to find out if he got into Hurston this season. I think that's going to be a cliffhanger. I'm curious to see if we're going to see Siren. I think we will find out the answer about whether Kool-Aid Boy is whatever Saren. In my head, I'm saying it right. Anyway, but I think we will find out I think there will be a conclusion to Ray, whether he's a snitch or not. I think we will find that out before this season is over. And there's going to be a big showdown because that foreshadowing of David wearing the crown, I think that's where we're going to end. Okay, El Teddy, you go ahead and unmic yourself because I didn't mic you. I mean, I didn't unmute you.
I did because I wanted to make sure the clicking wasn't me.
We know who the clicking is.
Saren is going to die. That's my prediction. Saren is going to either die
wasn't ready,
or Saren is going to go to jail for a long period of time. But Saren has to get out of the picture in order for David to take his rightful place. I do not feel that this is the last that we've seen of Saren. Saren is too integral, I think, to David and who he is. And Saren is David's connection to his good, David has a good side and a bad side. And I think Saren is David's connection to his good side with school and all of the things that he should do right. And I think that without Saren, David will spiral out of control and just go completely into the drug game. So I think that would be way. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen this season. I definitely think there has to be a second season. I think that Oprah and the OWN network has invested way too much into this show, because looking at, everything that went into this show, you got Michael B. Jordan behind this show, Lita Rashawn, executive producers behind the show. You got Felicia Rashad,
who will be Lita Rashawn will be on the next episode. She's playing Gloria's mother. Well, they
right.
stay with so
but she's an executive producer on the show as well.
Right.
So I'm thinking that, and look at the cinematography in the show. There's money that's been put into this show. So I refuse to believe that we won't see at least a second season. Hell, if they gave the garbage that was some of those Tyler Perry shows multiple seasons, you have to give this show multiple seasons as well. So I'm not really worried about that. So even if we don't see Saren, I think that we won't see Saren next episode, but I do think Saren will something. Even if we don't see it, we will find out something about Saren that will play into the cliffhanger going into season 2.
Okay, Abby, final predictions.
Amongst all the snap, crackle, and pop, One, I think that JG is Sky's son. I'm gonna just throw that out there.
God,
which would make the bishop Sky's daddy. It all circles around. It's all circles around. I'm telling you.
But wouldn't that be Ray's granddad? And wouldn't Ray know who he was?
It depends. We've never outwardly heard JG talk about his
I
dad.
still think Sky is David's daddy. I still think that.
We know you do. We know you're thinking wrong. It's okay. We love you anyway.
Watch really end up being right. Sky end up being David's daddy.
We're gonna be like, this some old bull.
They said he's your child.
Are we all on the same page that Gloria's back on drugs?
I don't know if she's back on drugs, but I think this episode coming up, I think she's gonna take a pill. I think this is it.
Because her mama
gonna have a showdown, and it's gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much. And I think we're gonna find out about David's real daddy this episode too. Because see, Mama know.
And if she says the professor, then what?
Then I'm just wrong. Then actually, I probably still wouldn't believe her because again, that's Gloria's story. Gloria is telling everybody who the daddy is. Look, have you ever heard the saying, "Mother's baby daddy"?
Look at him.
You know who that boy daddy is? We know what the mama say. We know who the mama say the boy daddy is.
Look at their eyes is alike, Maury. Their eyes is look. Okay.
David look like Sky. Come on.
Okay. Now
David look like Sky.
No, ma'am.
David don't look like Sky. Yes, he does. In that scene where they was doing the new edition, they look like father and son in that scene. They was dancing and stuff. They look like father and son. Captivating Christian agrees with me. I like you, Captivating Christian. Mwah.
She went to the man's house.
That's the story that she told David. We don't know that really happened. That is the story that she told David. Don't nobody know if that's true.
Okay. You know what? That's not his dad. Okay. All right. It could be his dad. I don't know. I don't know. You don't beat me down. So listen.
Captivating Christian has a good point. Maybe she called Sky the professor. Maybe that was his nickname.
Call him the professor. What? For what? For why?
The professor of love.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
That does not make sense.
That's Sky.
I just think that's who his daddy is.
That's not his good man.
I just think that's who his daddy is. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. And if I
think that's what they want everyone to think. I think that's what the writers want you to think. I think the writers want you to think this guy is David's father, but I don't think that's who his daddy is.
Okay. Hey.
Hell, Scott could be Shinobi and Willie Derek's daddy.
No, I think the writers want us to believe
Shinobi and Willie Derek is a little too light.
That David told us when he was doing his little project with the little girl singing the Mary J. Blige song. I think that's what the writers want us to believe. But I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. That ain't his daddy. Sky is that boy daddy. Anyway, y'all, I appreciate y'all rolling with us through all the production issues and all of the oh God, what?
Right. Did you see my face when I read it?
Oh,
I'm trying to figure out what is rape.
But the point is that the mama lied about how the kids got here. That's what she's saying. Like Gloria lied about how David got here. She lied. It wasn't no damn.
You don't know that she lying.
It wasn't no college professor. It was the drug boy, the corner boy, because Scott was a corner boy then. It was the corner boy down the street. She got pregnant by the corner boy.
I don't think so. I think that Gloria comes from better circumstances than what she is now. If we look at who her mama is.
Oh, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
So she could have very well been in community college and slept with her little community college.
I believe she could have been in community college, but I also believe that her ass could be hanging out in the hood. I
just want to make a note that nobody has verified that I ever called that young man Willie Earl on my review. So that means that I am right. I am right.
No,
Can
this
I
week
have
I
my?
haven't had a chance to
No, sir.
go.
Can I get my cash out?
I haven't had a chance to say that.
Obviously, I am right.
No,
I
I haven't
never
had a
called
chance
him
to say
Willie Earl.
we get ready to go ahead and close this out, y'all. I don't want to manipulate people's Friday nights, but if y'all want to come back live and hang out for a little while, I ain't doing shit else when I get off of here. I don't know what y'all are doing. I know Teddy look
Where
like
Jada Nerd at?
Where is Jada Nerd?
Domi asked me what time. You can always expect me to go sometime between 9 and 9:30 in the morning. Y'all know how I do.
Classic Coco, I'm sorry, baby. You asked that early on. So the consensus, I believe, of the group about who's abusing Siren, and if I'm wrong, y'all correct me. We believe that the daddy is sexually abusing. Huh?
Saren.
Saren.
See now my brain just won't do it. We believe that the stepfather is sexually abused. Don't give me that look, Teddy. That the father is sexually abusing and that the mother is physically abusing. That's what we believe.
That's what we believe.
See, thank you, exactly. The mama mad because she done got pregnant by the corner boy after she done worked her ass out to get them out the hood.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Thank you.
A mess.
Let's
damn mess.
Before we close it out,
somebody text Jada Nerd and tell his ass get camera ready for the next.
Jada Nerd, get camera ready. So before we close out the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that Sky is David's daddy. Put a 2 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe that it's the college professor. Put a 1 if it's.
Let me go to the chat. Wait.
El Teddy done excuse himself from the conversation. Well,
a mess. It's a damn mess. It's a damn mess.
It's a 1 for me. Look at all them ones. Look at all them ones. It's a couple of 2s. Hold on. There's a couple of 2s in the chat. A couple of 2s. Dami agrees with you. With y'all. Dami and Pretty Lips will go agree with y'all. But all the rest of them are 1, baby.
Smart people.
Woo, look at them ones. Look at them ones. Look at them
That's
ones.
what I'm gonna say when we find out that Sky not the daddy. He not the daddy. Look at him, Maury. Look at him.
All right, y'all. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna see if
I can get. I'm gonna switch phones.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. El Teddy, you can't just be stacking the deck and just voting 20 times. You can't do that.
You mad?
I mean, if we're gonna do that, if that's what we're gonna do, I'm just saying. If that's what we're gonna do.
If Sky is the daddy, I'm falling on the ground. Like this. Like the girls do on Maury. I'm just gonna fall on the ground.
Look, if Sky is the daddy, I have a lot of crow to eat. And I will start with I'll probably see Ebony before I'll see El Teddy. If I'm wrong, then I owe Ebony a meal. And El Teddy, when you come to DC, I owe you a meal if I am wrong. But if I am right, y'all feeding fat girl. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, y'all. We're gonna come out. We're gonna start a separate chat. We'll be back in a few minutes. I don't know if Ebony sound like she's ready to come back. We're gonna try to get Jada Nerd on here, and I don't know. I know Teddy was just getting in from work, so I don't know if you want to decompress, but we'll see who come back.
Yes, he the happy.
We'll surprise y'all who coming back and who not. All right, y'all.
Said you better be.
You got to look
at your fan said you better be on
the y'all man.
Jada Nerd, are you home? Ebony said get camera ready. I feel like she threatening you. Oh. All right, y'all. We'll be back in a few minutes. Let's see who's coming back with us.
Thank you.